Well, well, well. Here we fucking are. I think I'm gonna start putting out podcasts on Saturday now. I've been kind of switching up the days as I've gone along with this thing, but Saturdays are like the only day now I get to just chill the whole day, relax, and fucking think. Been working a lot. Haven't really had time to do much. I took a nice little walkie poo this morning. Cleared my head a little bit in order to get ready for this thing. Got a few ideas I want to discuss, but we'll just have to figure out how they come together as we go along. So, yes, we should get right into it. I want to talk about social media and the fact that it controls us, but we do not control it. Started out, I think I've talked about this a little bit before, actually. Because I looked up some shit. It started with this one company. I don't remember what it was called. I had looked it up. I don't know if I've made this episode or not already, but I looked it up. And it started with this small company. I think it was just to send emails back and forth or some shit. And then it went to like Facebook and all this other shit after a while. But nobody thought it was going to be this widespread and everybody would have it, to the point where you buy a phone and Facebook or Instagram or something always comes pre-downloaded on it. But what I really want to talk about in regards to social media is the mental aspect of things. Because they have built these systems, we think, to help us find our interests, to find people we want to connect with, shit like that. But in reality, if you are not making, or if you're not paying for a product, you are the product. Because they scrap up our data in order to make this AI basically, what are the words I want to use? It's basically a supercomputer, right? I think I have talked about this a little bit, but I got topics I haven't discussed that I want to tie into it, so we're going to go on a quick recap. But it's basically a supercomputer model of you, and that's what feeds you shit that you are interested in. And it's like hitting the lottery, because every time you refresh the page, you could get something, you could not get something. It's like gambling or playing slots. You could always win, but you just gotta fucking refresh that page enough times. And you're taking this supercomputer and you're pinning it against this biological computer that has not changed in millions of years. We're still the same being that we were a million years ago. It's just we have more tools, we have more technology, we have more advancements in medicine and such like that. But you take this supercomputer and you pin it against this biological computer, it's not going to win. The biological one's obviously not going to win, because this supercomputer is learning constantly. And what I was saying, that we're products, it's not necessarily that they're selling our data, but they're making this model and selling a guarantee to advertisers that we're going to see these advertisements. And so you take these fucking advertisers and you get all these advertisements that they want to show, and you put it on this social media platform, whichever it may be. And I need to roll my window down a little bit so I can ash this sicky. But you take all these advertisements and you could sell the guarantee that people are going to see them, and obviously that raises the raises the guarantee that people are going to see them. And as they perfect this model of us, they can effectively raise that guarantee that we're going to see it, not only see it, but buy whatever product they're showing us based on our interests in our own lives. And that scrolling, that mindless scrolling, there's never been anything like that in human history, to the point where it's draining our dopamine and serotonin systems, because it's basically crack. You're taking these hits of dopamine every 5 seconds, boom, 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 and you can't get that from anything else. And dopamine is the motivation chemical, as I've talked about before. So if you get dopamine hits, it's going to push you to do that same thing over and over again to get that positive reinforcement. And so that's why we're addicted to our phones. And it's not only that our brains are making us addicted to the phones, but they make the algorithms, the products themselves. My dad's out here. Give me a second. As I was saying before, they make these algorithms to addict us, basically. And our brains are designed to reinforce itself. And that's what makes it a habit, and that habit becomes an addiction. And not only does it affect our mental health by draining our dopamine systems, but it affects our mental health by comparing ourselves to other people, such as the other topic I want to discuss, fitness influencers. If you are watching a fitness influencer, or you are admiring one or holding one to a high standard, chances are they worked hard for that body, but they have a lot of things that not everybody has access to, like supplements and protein and gym 24/7, all this stuff that, and they usually don't say something like talk about that. They talk about how you could achieve this body, or you could do this or do that, but they have a lot of free time that the normal person does not have. And a lot of their tricks, like their abs and muscles being visible and shit like that, are due to supplements or lighting or other things that are not in this natural world. That's why you can't record a person 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's just not going to work that way unless they sign their life away. But even then, who's to say that they're not acting different because this camera is here? And oh, I farted. But fitness influencers not only have access to all that stuff, but like I said, they have access to the gym 24/7 most of the time. They don't tell you how hard it was or what they were taking most of the time. They don't tell you. And they're using it basically to make money, because they're selling their body and their products to these people, and you watch them or buy their supplements or products or t-shirts or whatever the hell they're selling, and that's how they profit off people. Which, yeah, some of them are good people, and I don't doubt that, but some of them, like the Liver King or other people who are using steroids, or, and I don't have a problem with steroids. Like, most people think that steroids, you just take them and you build muscle, but that's not how they work at all. You have to put in as much work as the normal person. It's just steroids help your ability to recover faster. And I've never taken them myself, I've just researched them. And even testosterone is considered a steroid that men and women also actually produce naturally. But TRT, which is testosterone replacement therapy, is what older men get as they grow older, not to build muscle and to use it as most people use these steroids, but to replace their testosterone from what they had in their 20s or 30s. You're supposed to be taking this stuff in your 40s, maybe late 30s, like 35, 36 and up, but it replaces your testosterone so that your bone density doesn't fall apart and your muscle mass doesn't go away. And you can think clearly because lack of testosterone affects your mental health just as much as it affects your physical health. That's why a lot of older men get fat and overweight and get depressed and all this stuff, because their metabolism slows down. You're not moving as much as you used to because your bones hurt or your back hurts or whatever it may be. But yeah, so these fitness influencers don't really show the real. What word am I trying to use? They don't really use or show the reality of the situation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But um I guess that wraps up that fucking shit I want to talk about. But I guess I want to talk about also that it's pretty fascinating. Humans have um how do I want to word this is what I'm trying to figure out. Humans have taken over almost every aspect of our planet. And that's fascinating in itself because evolution has showed, and science and history have shown, that we all originated in Africa. Like I've said before, the rainforests were receding, monkeys came out of there, whatever it may be, psychedelics, cooked meat, tools, obviously, whatever our evolution and adaptability had made us into the perfect animal with the perfect mind to do what we have done today. And from there, we went up and down. There's evidence of us colonizing Antarctica when it was closer to the equator and when it was warmer before it drifted down to the South Pole where it's at now. But we also went up and across. We really don't have solid evidence of where exactly we started off, besides Africa, obviously, but from there, where we had gone after that, because we had just started spreading out like a plague, basically. We're basically the cancer of the planet. We just kept reproducing and moving until we had colonized most of Earth, most of the land mass, anyway. But the reason that's so fascinating is because if, well, we did start as these monkeys, and with our tools and our ingenuity and intelligence, we had the ability to do everything that we see today, make vehicles, make phones, make whatever it may be. And the fact that we were able to do this, what no other animal has on this planet. We don't know about other solar systems or planets or what it may be, but the fact that we were able to do this, it may be evidence to us becoming something more than ourselves, which is already happening. And the reason I think this is fascinating is because our ability to adapt is our number one superpower. We think it's our tools and our ability to create, and not only create but destroy, but our ability to adapt and overcome anything is literally what got us here today. And a lot of people have forgotten that. I think that's the reason we have so many mental issues and physical issues and all the issues we have today. It's because people don't want to adapt. Our egos and our minds have taken control to where We think it has to be this way, or it's been this way for forever, so why should we change it if it's worked this long? But the thing is, we've always adapted and overcame adversity to the point where we broke through whatever problem we were having, whatever that problem may have been. Like the us making America itself was an adaptation to British rule. We didn't like their rules. We didn't like how they were controlling us and doing all the things they were doing, and so we revolted and we made our own country. And this country came from adapting, and our physical forms, our mental forms, our tools, our technology, it all came from us adapting to a problem. We didn't make houses before we realized that we were vulnerable and indefensive when we were sleeping, and so we needed a place to lie down for the night and recover and rest. And the fact that everything we see came from a problem, we adapted to that problem, and we overcame that problem through that adapting, is just so fascinating to me. And what I was saying before, we really have lost that ability because people don't want to adapt, and that causes a lot of anxiety and depression and all this shit. Because whether it be depression where you are wishing it used to be the way it was, or anxious because you don't want this change to happen because you don't know what's going to happen. And that has slowed us down, in my opinion, to almost a stop. Because if you look at our products and our technologies and most of the shit that we have today, yeah, there is things they're working on like Neuralink and reversing aging and AI and all this stuff that they're working on to advance the human species. But the majority of our technology that we use on the day to day, like phones and vehicles and, refrigerators, all this stuff hasn't changed very much since the 20s. Phones have gotten progressively better, but lately they've just slowed down to almost a halt, to where they're just updating little bugs or camera features or all this shit. It doesn't really change much. And I think that, yes, in the wide scope of things, it will change to the point where it makes a difference. But the time being, I think that we are stuck in a position where we're not moving very fast, or as fast as we could be, because people, not only do people not want to adapt, but they don't want to learn. Yeah, the past is important and the present is very important, and that makes the future. But most people don't want to learn about the past. They don't want to look at their own past, let alone somebody else's, because they're so caught up in their own mind, to the point where it halts us in our progression for maybe years. That's why people don't progress or want to improve or do better. It's because, this isn't the only answer, and I can't overgeneralize, obviously, but a lot of it comes from being stuck in your own mind and your own habits. And I've been guilty of this myself, and I was lucky enough to get out. And the problem with the brain is you're always, like I've said before, it's like a snow hill, and you're always digging those tracks and getting stuck again. Whether you're on a good path or not, your brain tries to make it easier and simplify it to the point where, well, you get stuck again, and you feel like you can't get out. And I think it's important to hone that ability to adapt through discipline and neuroplasticity, increasing that, and finding ways to push yourself past your limits and to improve into somebody who you want to be. Because even when we're babies, we start out and we're blank slates, right? We don't we don't start out as these people we are today. We just develop these things through our personality, our likes and dislikes, and what we want to do with our lives and what we don't want to do with our lives, like becoming a drug addict or becoming a billionaire, shit like that. But as kids, we're not solid. Our progression and improvement can go in any way at any time. But as adults, it starts to slow down. Even at my age, I'm almost 20, it starts to slow down and it doesn't progress as fast. So you have to actively seek out that change and seek out that improvement and seek out that discipline so that you can become the person you want to be. Because if you're not actively seeking it out, then you're not going to find it. If you're not actively trying to improve yourself in whatever way you can, spiritually, mentally, physically, intellectually, then you're going to slide in the opposite direction. Most people think that you stay stagnant and you're just this person forever. But that's not the case. That's what I've talked about many times before. It's like a broken record, but that growth and fixed mindset to where you either think that every negative or positive thing in your life is a chance to improve, or you look at it as if it's just happening to you and it's here to tear you down and you just let it. But you don't have to be that way. You can fight back. You can hone your brain and hone your body and hone your spirit to push through anything. That's how we got here today. Because you think that monkeys in Africa were trying to turn into this, or, and obviously, if you go back and ask a monkey, obviously a monkey can't talk, but if you go back and talk to an early hominid that can speak and would be able to understand us, I doubt that they would want to come to this point that we're at today. But that's exactly where we're at. If you asked if we wanted a neuro implant in our brain, or asked if we wanted flying cars that may or may not work, like cars shut down and get fucked up, and they have problems all the time. You take that to the sky, that's a whole nother problem, because if that car doesn't work right, we're falling out of the sky and it's going to be fucked up. And so you got to figure out for yourself where you are willing to compromise in the fact that, do I want to stay this way forever? Whether it be, you know, whatever it may be, a job, a life, chasing after meaningless goals, whatever that change you need, because everybody can improve. It's not just, even if you're some billionaire with everything that the material world has to offer, you could still improve in the spiritual sense or the physical sense or whatever it may be, the mental sense. Maybe you're not as intelligent as you want to be. There's always aspects of your life that you can improve. And you don't have to be this stagnant thing. You don't have to come home every day and do this and do that and have a routine is great, and you should have a routine, but you shouldn't have the routine in hopes that this is what I'll be doing for forever. Because if you hold that hopes in your head, that's a delusion, I think. In my opinion, that's a delusion to hold that this is going to be how it is forever, because everything comes to an end. Whether that be life or your job or whatever it may be, everything comes to an end. If not at death, it comes to an end sooner. It could be as soon as tomorrow. who knows? We can't tell the future. Oh, my dad's coming again. I didn't want my dad to come barging in. He's going to work, but he's gone now. But I was talking about is you don't want your life to become solid. You don't want to be a solid thing. That's never good, because then if the whole point of life is to adapt and to overcome these challenges. And there's always going to be a challenge thrown your way, whether that be somebody dying in your life, or a job not working out, or going broke and having to rebuild. But that challenge is always going to be hard, and you have to be ready for that challenge to come. And I think the law of nature is that you have to adapt, and it's always changing, because nature's always changing, and it's always adapting. They adapt. Nature adapts to crazy shit like chemical spills, or nuclear problems, or plastic, or chemicals, or anything. Anything. There's plants that grow out of nuclear sites, and there's chemicals that we spray on them that they just fucking get rid of. And over time, nature adapts to any problem, and they figure everything. It figures everything out, whatever it may be. I think there's an energy behind nature, and there's some kind of, whatever, call it God, call it Mother Nature, call it the invisible spirit, call it goddess, call it whatever you want. But I think there's some kind of force behind it, because it always prevails. Life, it's from Jurassic Park, first one. Ian Malcolm's like, life, finds a way. And he's right, because life always finds a way. There's life in there, whether it be microorganisms or full-blown intelligent beings, but there's life everywhere, I believe. Not just belief, but science has proven that mushroom spores and microorganisms can survive in even the harshest climates, whether that be extreme cold or extreme heat or the vacuum of space. They can survive. So I guess the point of that is, just don't let life tear you down. Fight back. You can fight back in any way. And it's not always easy in that depressive mindset, or when things aren't going well, to have the optimism and the belief that you can get out of it. Because life weighs heavy sometimes. It's not always easy. Like I said, everything comes to an end. Even happiness comes to an end. Because without happiness, without sadness, there is no happiness. Because we wouldn't know what it was. If we were happy every single moment of every single day, we wouldn't know we wouldn't know happiness anymore. It's like being, I don't know what the example would be. It's like eating the same food every single day. That food becomes bland, and it becomes boring. That's how happiness would become. You wouldn't know how to be happy, because you're always happy. You wouldn't even know what it was. The same with joy, the same with bliss, the same with sadness, anger. If you were angry all the time, you wouldn't know you were angry. You'd just be that way. We're going to leave this planet one day, because there's no staying on it. As I was saying, everything comes to an end. This planet's going to come to an end one day. It may not be for billions of years when our sun dies out, or it's going to be sooner if human race doesn't fucking destroy, or if we destroy ourselves and shit. But when that time comes, we need to be ready. And we don't need to just be ready for something as big as that, but We need to be ready for all the little things. We need to be ready for physical advantages, mental advantages, or I guess not advantages, but problems and spiritual problems. We need to be ready and we need to prepare ourselves for anything that is thrown our way. The human race is one incredible species. We've been able to accomplish all kinds of things that other species on our planet could only dream of. And the fact that we're just sitting here at a standstill and not trying to do anything with our lives. People just want to go to school and then get a job and work their life away. And yeah, we're raising families and doing all this stuff that is important, but the majority of what we do every day is so bland and not important to the main scope of things. The only thing that may be important is creating more humans, I guess, which may not even be that important because maybe we're not as important as we think we are. But that's about all that's as important as nature itself and the universe. Because if we can keep our species alive and keep progressing in a positive direction to where we don't want to hurt living beings and destroy the planet that we're on and fuck things up like we tend to do, then I farted again. Then we will be able to do amazing things, more amazing things than we've accomplished already, like a Dyson sphere to be able to control the sun's power directly, or control black holes, or control gravity and space and time. We can control all kinds of things. That's why I don't disbelieve aliens, because you can get past a point where you're just these biological creatures with wants and desires and needs, and like the necessity to eat and drink and sleep and do all these things that we have to do, have sex, reproduce, all this shit. Then we can become not unstoppable, I don't think, but to the point where we're near gods. Not whatever this God is that I was discussing earlier, to where it controls the energy of the universe, but oh no. But we would become something powerful and have the energy to do whatever we need to do, because our technology can get us really far, but if we destroy ourselves internally or externally, we're not going to make it, and it's not going to become what we need it to become. I think that's all I got to talk about. It's a pretty short one, but I've been tired. I'm still adapting to the new job I got, but I'm going to keep pushing these out, keep trying my best. It's all I can do. Not everyone's as good as the last. Some are better than others, but I try my best. Try to give you guys something. Give you something. Something to watch. Something to think about. Something to improve on. Yeah. Thanks to whoever keeps watching. I appreciate you. You have a great day, great week, great month, great year, great life. And I will keep